Welcome to Houston's Hottest, where we bring you the best our community has to offer. This week we come to you from a place, ironically an old church, where you also find a lot of sinners and saints. Welcome to Back Pew Brewery and our beer pilgrimage. The Back Pew is a great place to visit, and the amazing tap room has over 30 beers on tap. They also have 18 acres where you can bring the family for a great revival with great food from food trucks, live music, and of course, fresh from their brewery, beer, the nectar of the gods. Also on this show, we take a look at the quality of our drinking water. Is there anything we can do about those summer electric bills? How about a free air conditioner? We get a real estate tip from Tina, and we see what's going on with the arts. So stay with us, things are about to really get hot.
Houston's Hottest is brought to you by American Heating and Air Conditioning, Crystal Clear, and Paper City.
Blessed are the thirsty. For many years, this building was a very different type of establishment. Though today the brewery bustles with machinery and is filled with the aromas of beer. This old church building used to house a congregation and was filled with the sound of prayers. Though church folks are known for following tradition, these beer guys aren't so easily defined. They seek inspiration from sources strange and fantastic, and they passionately brew their beer with creative character and daring twist. They are the only ones who do things differently because it's the only way they know. They are misfits, the ones who don't do things by the book, the ones who spurn convention, the ones who occupy the back pew. For a little more on the brewery, we caught up with Bobby Harrell, the brewmaster.
I started just like most people who start brewing beer, they started drinking it. So I was in college, I was drinking it, I was curious about it. And so one thing to kick off with is that I'm a huge nerd. So I am an engineer by trade, and we were doing a biosciences course, and I was modeling yeast growth, and I said, you know what else yeast do? They make beer. And so I started brewing it, and that's what got me into it. That started it all. That took it from a hobby to an obsession to a profession. Started Back Pew in 2015. So we took over this space that we're in now, March 8th of 2015, and our first beer out to market was November 20th of 2015. So we're in year 3 right now. So when I started brewing professionally, it was up in Nashville. I was working on my graduate studies. And up there's a brewery called Little Harpeth Brewing Company. Now, that was where I would consider that my alma mater. I helped that brewery get going, similar to what I did. I helped them do it first to the degree I could. I was still in school at the time. But that really helped me understand that I really enjoy lager beers. So a lot of the beers that you'll see from us are that lager, lighter, crisper flavor. Now we do everything. We love lagers, we love ales, we do it all. But that's really where a lot of inspiration came from. And besides that, one of the big things about starting a brewery is you have to believe that you have a different take on something. Just making somebody else's product, somebody else already made it. What you want to do is you want to believe that you have something that you're going to give to your customer that is unique, new, and interesting. And we believe we do that day in, day out. Last year we packaged 2,100 barrels. This year we're on track to probably get close to 4,000 barrels packaged, so significant growth this year. Going into packaged goods, more packaged goods has helped. We do more one-offs, things like that. The new tap room has helped quite a bit with that. So we're growing and we're really focusing on the Houston area, and what we mean by that. So we've got beer from Lufkin to Galveston and Baytown to Katy. You're talking Randall's, Whole Foods, HEB, Kroger. We're working on getting into them more and more all the time. As more breweries pop up, you'd imagine that there's a little more competition for that shelf space. Same thing with taps, but we're out there actively selling all the time. And if there's somewhere that you want to go and it's not there, ask your bartender, give me a holler. We have 2 different lines of beer. All the white cans and white tap handle being the Saint line, the black handles and the black cans being the center line. The reason we do that is your Saint lines all of your sessionable, approachable, drink all day kinds of beers. Your center line are your more robust, flavored, and higher ABV products. And so this duality was really important to me. The uncreative part was that I named the brewery after it, Saints and Sinners Brewing Company. So when we came down here, we ended up getting this, which used to be an old church, and it was a snake handling, speaking in tongues church. I said, okay, that'll work. Shortly thereafter, we had a trademarking issue. but I didn't want to give up the duality. And I thought and thought and thought, but since we were in an old church, we never bought it assuming that. I was like, man, that's just great marketing, we got to get with it. Well, my marketing guys, they helped me. I met some guys and they were really passionate about it, so they came up with some ideas, and back pew worked for us because in the Baptist religion, the back pew is where the saints and the sinners sat. The saints being the people who sing the loudest, they put them back there so they can still hear the preacher, and the sinners are the guys who shouldn't have been drinking, come in hungover and leave early to throw up. So it really worked out that we could link it all together.
Thanks, Bobby. We'll catch up with Bobby a little later. He's going to give us a tour of the brewery and tell us about a few of his beers. Don't go anywhere. We're going to find out just how clean or dirty our drinking water really is. I've lived in the Houston area for a very long time, and I never really gave much thought to the quality of our drinking water until my neighbor had her drinking water tested and found out just how disgusting it really is. Welcome, Scott. Come on in.
Thanks for having me over.
Sure. Okay, Scott, so last week you installed a crystal clear water filter in my neighbor's home, and she was telling me just how dirty our water is.
Yes, most of the home's water is contaminated with chlorine, lead, and all types of contaminants and pollutants. In fact, the U.S. government has recommended a water filtration system on every home in the United States. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test your water for chlorine. A couple of these drops and we'll see how much chlorine's in your water.
Okay.
The water turns yellow, which
Oh.
means you have chlorine in there.
Oh, wow, it's turning yellow. Okay.
So, in this glass, I want you to take your fingers and swirl it around.
Okay.
Okay. I'll put the same amount of drops into this water. And as you notice, the water didn't change colors because your skin just absorbed the chlorine.
Oh, wow.
Which means any other contaminants in your water, your skin is going to absorb it.
That's not healthy.
That's not healthy at all. So when you bathe, you're going to absorb everything that you shower with or you drink or what's in your food.
Okay, Scott, so what do I do now?
Well, you have options. You can use water pitcher filters. You can use sink filters. But neither of those really take out many of the contaminants. Or you can use a reverse osmosis system, or you can use a water softener. But those are really high maintenance. So in other words, you have to have someone come out and service it. There's another choice, and it's called the crystal clear water filter. It's the green solution. The filter removes all of the chlorine and any other contaminants or pollutants that are in your water, and it also has a descaler, so that prevents your sink from getting white streaks on it and your shower.
Yeah, like that, the white stuff. So that's called a descaler?
A descaler,
Okay.
that's correct. Also, your appliance will last longer because most appliances fail within 7 to 10 years because of scale, because of calcium.
Okay. Yeah, so like all those commercials where you see they're getting all that white scaly stuff off, this prevents it.
The descaler does prevent that. Yes, it
Okay.
does. The descaler keeps your pipes from getting clogged, which that prevents it from going into your appliances, your dishwasher, and your washing machine, and your hot water heater. It leaves your water healthy and takes all the contaminants out.
Oh, okay.
So it's safe to wash your food with it or drink it. There'll be no need for bottled water.
Does this water filter all of your house?
Absolutely.
Or just parts of it?
Absolutely. It filters from your sink to your shower in your master bedroom or your bath.
Oh, okay.
And all of your appliances. So everything that you have that has water coming out of it, this filter filters it.
Wow, that's really scary. If you want to check on the quality of your water, call Scott at American Heat and AC at 281-354-6336. They'll come out and do a free water test to check the quality of your water. Houston's Hottest is very proud to have teamed up with Paper City's Catherine Anspon. She's going to keep us up to date on the very active Houston's art scene.
Thank you, Jimmy Sue. And you'll never guess where I am. I've become part of an artwork. Isn't that what every arts reporter wants? Anyway, we are 5 minutes from downtown Houston. We're in the Cistern, which is an industrial relic dating from 1926, which once held part of the city of Houston water supply. It's the size of a football field and a half and has 221 columns. But the best part of the Cistern is on view through January 13th, and that is the installation by Carlos Cruz Diaz. The artist is a pioneering Latin American master who now lives in Paris, originally from Caracas, Venezuela. And he has created an extraordinary environment of light and space throughout this underground cistern. It's tremendously mysterious, and we can show you a little bit about it today, but you can only really get the full experience by coming down to the Cistern at Buffalo Bayou Park through the Buffalo Bayou Partnership funded by the nonprofit. You can find out more information, sign up for tickets online, buffalobayou.org. Again, buffalobayou.org. Come down. The Thursdays are free, but you do need to make reservations. The ticket prices are very affordable. The only thing is kids need to be 9 or older. Carlos Cruz Diaz, Spatial Chromo Interference, the Cistern at Buffalo Bayou Park.
If you want to learn more about the arts and everything else that's going on in our fine city, check out Paper City Magazine at papercitymag.com or look for it all over town. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're just hanging out at our beer pilgrimage at the Backview Brewery. We're going to check back in with Bobby, our brewmaster, and he's going to give us a tour of the brewery.
We can't make any kind of beer on brew day without grain. So typically most of our grain is barley. Every now and then we might use some wheat, some rye, some oats, something like that. But mostly it's a barley-based product. We don't use a lot of adjuncts. With Blue Testament we do use milled corn to bring out that flavor. But when you get grain, it's not pre-milled. You can buy it that way, but typically the better way is to buy grain that's not milled. And grain is in the shape of a small teardrop. The outside part of that is the husk, and the inside part is the endosperm. That's where all the starches are. What we basically do as brewers is we take that starch that's in that endosperm, we turn it into sugar, and then we give that to the yeast to eat. Yeast pee ethanol and they fart CO2. That's what they do. That's a very high level view of our product. And we can't go anywhere without the mill. So the mill takes that, it takes the husk off basically, and then it'll crush that middle part, and so that way we can filter it out later. So this is where it all starts. So we mill it into this big plastic thing behind me, that's what we call a grist case. Then we're ready for brew day. That we send over to the brew house where we'll go next. Behind me is our brewing system. This is what on a brew day I do. And so as a brewer, what we do is we take all that barley, whether it be corn, wheat, rye, whatever, and that's what we turn into the yeast food. When we make whatever we make on the brewing system is called wort. It's not beer until the yeast start fermenting it. And so behind me there's 4 different vessels there. The first vessel is where all the grain goes into. That's what we call a mash mixer. We add the water, we add the grain, and that's where we turn all those starches into sugar. That's where, basically think of a big chemical reactor. Really it's, it is reacting chemicals, but it's a little different. Once we're done there, we go to the second vessel, and that's that big vessel behind me with all the bolts on it. I don't know if you can quite see it. That's the second vessel. It's called a lauter tun. What we do there is when you mill it, you have to be very careful that you don't just completely destroy the barley. If you do, you can't filter all of the nasty stuff out. You don't want to send plant material to the boil kettle. You'll get tannin extraction and it tastes very nasty. So we can't do that. It'll be very bitter beer, and nobody likes bitter beer. So that's what the lauter tun is very important about. What we do is we call it vorloffing, so we come out the bottom and back over the top until that filter forms, all made out of the grain. Once it forms, we go to the boil kettle. The boil kettle does just that. We boil the beer there. That's where we add our hops and do all of those things that we do in that kettle. So it's kind of a big chemical reactor as well. The fourth vessel is important because after you add all those hops in, you don't want to give them to the yeast. The yeast really don't like hops. It is a preserving agent. So we go into the whirlpool at a tangential inlet. We make a big, it's just like if you were in your sink and you shook it up really fast with your hand, all that stuff comes to the middle, right? Same idea. All those hops we used to add in the boil kettle, We're going into the whirlpool at tangential inlet, makes that big swirl. All that stuff comes up into what's called a hop cone. We then take that liquid off, leaving all that hops and nastiness behind, go through a heat exchanger, chill it down, pitch the yeast, and then the yeast begin to eat the sugars, make the alcohol, and that's when we have beer. So, like I said, then once these big cylindrical conical fermenters, that's where you can hear them. Well, I don't know if you can hear them, but they're bubbling back there. I mean, that's where the yeast turn into beer. Once we process it, we have a very cool piece of instrumentation here. It's called a centrifuge, and it's a separator. So what it does is it separates large molecules, typically your haze-forming proteins and things like that. We pull that out of the beer, get nice clear beer, and we take it over to the bright tank. The bright tank is where we carbonate it, get it ready for packaging, and we either keg it or can it. And that's the last step in it. So every part of the process is important.
Thanks again, Bobby. A little later in the show, Bobby's going to tell us about some of his favorite beers. We'll be right back to continue our beer pilgrimage. We're back. Our beer pilgrimage won't be complete until we learn more about how they brew their beers here.
We've got beer from Lufkin to Galveston and Baytown to Katy. Especially if you're looking for in grocery stores, you're going to find 3 primary items. And those are the ones that we, after all that hard work, that we actually put into a package. So remember I talked about the St. Sinner line. Blue Testament is our flagship. It's an American Pilsner made with Texas blue corn. Nice, crisp German Pilsner in front of the palate with a little bit of sweetness on the back of the palate. Great all-day drinker, and it's in a white can, so that's in the Saint line. The 2 other all-year rounds you'll find right now from us are Hop Postle, which is our IPA. It's going to have a lot of tropical fruit and citrus. It's not going to be very bitter. A little bit more rounded than you would expect out of a big West Coast IPA. It's more of an East Coast IPA. And then Seder's Swill, that's our second best seller. It's a German Bock. Like I said, we like to do a lot of lagers, but this is an amber lager, and it is in the center line. It's 7.2. That's why it got its name. A Seder's a mythological creature that's a trickster. So it's a 7.2 beer you can drink all day. You better be careful. But those are the 3 primary products you should be able to find in HEB, Kroger, Whole Foods. You can even find them in a lot of corner stores.
A little earlier, we talked to Scott with American Heat and AC to talk about the quality of our water. Before we got started, he happened to mention how we could get a free AC. So we had to have him back so we could learn how. Hey Scott, so welcome back to the show. So the last time we were talking to you about the crystal clear water filter, you mentioned something about how we could get a free air conditioning system. So of course we had to have you back on the show so you could explain how do you get a free AC?
Well, it's really simple. If your unit is over 10 years old, it probably started out at a 10 or 12 SEER, and SEER is the energy efficient rating. So over a period of years, the unit, due to deterioration and wear and tear, is probably about a 6 or 8 SEER now. So if we were to install a 16 SEER unit, if your electric bill is $300, you would save about 50% on your electric bill. And your air conditioner is about 70% of your bill. So if your electric bill was $300 and we can cut it by 50%, you're going to save $150 a month. With our zero down, zero interest financing for 5 years, in most cases you spend about $80 to $100 a month on financing. So basically you're going to be putting about $50 back in your pocket.
Oh, and get a free air conditioner.
And get a free air conditioning system.
Wow, thanks again, Scott. If you want to learn more about how you can get a free air conditioner, give Scott a call at American Heating and Air at 281-354-6336 or go to bestacservicehouston.com. In this week's Tina Talks Real Estate, Tina tells us all about accent walls.
Tina Talks Real Estate is brought to you by Drees Custom Homes, now celebrating 90 years of building the best homes.
Houston's real estate is hot. And for those of you that enjoy quick and easy home improvement projects, well, this segment is for you. Accent walls are back. That's right. With 1 can of paint and a few hours in the afternoon, you can transform any room, making your home the hottest in Houston.
Stop by and check out all the great floor plans. Drees Custom Homes, building the best homes in 9 of the best communities throughout Houston.
Thanks, Tina. We had a great time here at Back Pew Brewery. If you want to have your own pilgrimage to the Back Pew, you can learn more about them and all the beers they brew and where you can get these amazing beers near your home. Check them out at backpewbrewing.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Houston's Hottest.
Houston's Hottest is brought to you by American Heating and Air Conditioning, Crystal Clear, and Paper City.
If you want more information or you want to watch your favorite segment again, you can also go to our website for more information, videos, and special offers.